running through our veins. We're KPHRED music. We're gonna make it rain.
Yes, folks, I'm KPHRED. It's time for another trip down the rabbit hole on KPHRED Prime Live. We're going to be talking about how relationships and Valentines are being affected by AI. I got my co-host, Barbara Wainwright, one of the bravest women around, as well as Queen D. Ooh,
Just so you know, Fred, we are unable to hear you.
Okay, so we'll fix that, won't we?
Okay, so he did something to his machine, so I guess Barbara and I are going to have to... I'm kidding.
Actually, can you hear me now?
I'm guessing our listeners can hear Fred.
Okay, so
it's
this
only
is
us that
getting
cannot
weird,
hear
but
Fred.
okay, we'll flip it back. Oh, that's it. Sorry, high five. Can you hear me now? No. Oh, let's try this one. What about now? Can you hear me? I hate this when this goes this way.
Well, the blue, I love the blue and blue play. You got
all right. Can you
very
hear
cool.
me now?
Vibrant.
Thank you. I like.
Can you hear me now?
My favorite color. Okay, she didn't notice.
They can hear us live. I don't know if they can hear Fred, but we're broadcasting.
Oh, well, hi, everybody, and welcome to KPHRED. We're so glad that you're here.
Hello.
Oh, my gosh, we have some amazing guests today, and we are going to talk about Valentine's and how the AI is impacting human relationships. And there are some really surprising articles out there about Valentine's and AI and how people are having relationships with their AI. So we're going to dive in. And today we have some amazing guests. I just want to give a shout out to Elizabeth Harrington, Janet Monroe, Fred McMurray, of course, our
Can you hear me now?
Host. Can hear you now, and Pat Lopez and Deanna Wakefield. Okay, Fred, you're on.
I hate technology. I really do. It's been such a fun week. Welcome, ladies. Thank you, Barbara.
Yeah. Welcome, Fred, to your own show.
Hey, I don't know if I'm needed here anyways. I'm kind of superfluous.
You are the odd man out.
Yeah. The Gorge of Ultimate Doom. Yes. It's all good. Just as a reminder to those who have been listening, you can, if you're brave enough, if you're a male, you can hit the KPHRED website and click the call to join the conversation. You have to go through the room of Ultimate Doom with either Deanna or Barbara, but we'll get you on the air voice since that's what people hear, and we'll have some fun. So, or you can chat at kphed.com. That's PHRE.
KPHRED.com. All right. And we look forward to hearing from you. We want to know what your thoughts are about AI and Valentine's.
But before we go there, it's been since the last episode last month. It's been kind of we've had a whole bunch of starts for the station. You want to weigh in on some of that news?
Well, Deanna probably would be the best person to weigh in on that.
Yeah.
Well, we've got two new shows that started dropping episodes 2 weeks ago. We got Mary Farias and the Economy Creators. And let me tell you what, I've listened to her first episode, and it's definitely a first episode, but she is going to be phenomenal. And then we've got Havoc's Gaming Den on Fridays, and it's like pulling teeth getting that guy to do his recordings. But once he finally gets in there and starts talking, I mean, like, he's talking about gaming across all different genres, and so it's going to be very interesting to see where he goes.
There's a slight rumor out there that you're actually going to have a board manufacturer on sometime in March, but we'll leave that for later. That's what I've heard.
That's what I've heard too, or at least that's what his schedule tells me.
So, you have become designated a new title.
I leveled up. I evolved. That is correct.
You've evolved into the devolved. Evolved.
We'll work on it, Fred.
I would say move to a higher plane of KPHRED existence, and you're the new CFPHO.
I can't even remember what that means, so you go on and tell everybody what it means.
The Chief Female PHRED Officer. Because you have a disturbing habit of saying what I'm about to say correctly, or to other folks.
I have a disturbing habit of doing that for a lot of people, where they say it one way, I say, no, don't say it like that. Here's the nice way.
So, there's also a rumor that your show's gonna become seen by a. I won't say that word. We've got all women on here, so I won't use that word. How would I put this that is politically correct? A large number of people simultaneously across the world.
Yes, sir. Presuming that everything goes to plan, and nothing will. There will always obviously be something that pops up at the last minute.
Murphy's Law.
But in April, the World Autism Awareness Summit is happening, and they have invited me to speak.
And your topic?
I haven't. Okay, so this is the fun part. I suck with topics, but essentially what I'm going to be talking about is how radio changes the game for neurodivergent entrepreneurs and families, because it's an all but forgotten medium where you don't have to have your face showing. You can get out there, you can talk about what you want to talk about, and people actually respond positively to it instead of internet trolls.
Ooh, internet troll. I think it's so great what you're doing, Deanna, and I love that it's attracting attention from other mediums, like having a big, because it's going to be an event. It's not going to be just audio, right?
Right. It's going to be a video event. It's going over. It's happening one day a week, every week for the entire month of April. They're going to have dozens of speakers on. It's going to be amazing.
Yes, and I think it's raising awareness for things like, people with that we'll say are on the spectrum or are artistic. It's like giving them a voice, right? What was that, Fred?
Creative is my preferred term.
You know what? I believe that's so true, that these people are gifted. And some people think that is some kind of a detriment. I'm like, no, it's not. Are you kidding me? These people are so outstanding in the things that they can do extremely well. So yeah, where's the downside of that? I don't know.
I mean, there is a downside, because for all of the amazing abilities and talents the neurodivergent community has, it also comes at the price of the overwhelming majority of us have sensory processing issues. So the world is just a little bit harder to handle.
You know what? And that's true for empaths as well, meaning people that are empathic and can walk in a room and feel everything that happened in that room. It's very hard for them to navigate being out in what I would say public, or being out in the real world, that other people seem to just glide through with no problem. So maybe those two things are connected some way. I don't know.
Possibly.
I've heard that before. Empaths and folks that might be more neurodivergent or neurodivergents having more accessibility to different types of empathic and intuitive gifts. Not to side trail too much, but I've definitely heard that. I don't think you're wrong there, Barb.
All right.
Okay, we're going to get there. Do not segue us. You're from Southern California. You do not segue us. We got to get through the first round. Everyone gets met. Have you got any, as our publisher in chief, C3PO?
Yes.
What are you working on in A, your show, and B, on KPHRED?
Well, so for my show, we've just transitioned to reading from my book. So just to bring up people up to speed, the first book that I worked on a podcast with was The Power of Now, Guide to Spiritual Enlightenment, written by Eckhart Tolle. And we did like 70 something episodes about that. And then we read it again. It's that powerful. And then we transitioned to A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose, written by Eckhart Tolle. And we just completed that book 3 weeks ago. And so now we are reading the book that I just wrote called Awakening to Divine Purpose. And that book is, we just started. It's going to take us over a year to complete that book because we go through the books section by section. So this is so far, it's been over a 5-year project working, reading through these books because we take them one section at a time. Anyway, it's very, very rewarding. I love the compliments that we get. People have joined our Facebook group, and it's rewarding because of the impact that it's having on people who listen. There you go. And I loved that one of our members of KPHRED listened to it over the weekend last week and said he heard things concepts that he never thought of before. I go, brilliant. We're awakening people. I love it. And then in terms of KPHRED, we're working on publishing people who haven't been published, who always wanted to have a book, but were never had the time to sit down and write a book, but they've been on a podcast or they've had a podcast and they've had the podcast out there for a while. We're looking to create, because you want to repurpose your content. You want your content, if you are doing audio, you want to get it in text and video. If you're doing video, you already have audio and text. So because it could be transcribed. So we want to help people that have had a podcast take that podcast and convert it into a book. So if that's you, reach out to us and we'll talk to you about how we can get that done for you. And that's kind of our latest project, Fred.
So did you say you have to have a podcast, or you can just start one with us and it'll evolve out?
I didn't mention that, but that's the truth. If you decide you'd like to begin a podcast, KPHRED is the place to come because we have some experts here who can help you get your podcast designed, developed, and actually get started with it. And if you desire to have that podcast that you just now created with your current content transitioned into a book, we can help you with that too.
Okay. I think I get it.
Okay, one more thing. If you do have a podcast that you've
Go ahead.
already done and you want to have it transitioned into a book, the caveat is that you will host that podcast on kphed.com. All right, that's it. I'm done, Fred. Thanks so much for the moment.
So you're talking to a whole lot of authors and producers or publishers.
Yes, because we will need publishers to help us with the projects that come up. Yeah.
Because you're not like expecting me, who's probably the only one here who hasn't written a bleeping book, and even being that drug into that by Jim Trelevin, professor, who hasn't written. So you're not like depending on me to like do that stuff, right?
Here's what we're depending on you for, Fred, because we are. Is first of all to be able to produce the podcast, because that's
fine.
Not in my skill set, right?
I'm down with that. So's Deanna.
Okay.
Deanna and I got your back there. That's okay.
Yes. So that's definitely out of my wheelhouse. I'm not producing a podcast other than my own, and therefore we definitely are depending on you to help make that happen. And you also have a very creative, and Deanna too, oh my gosh, a great creative side of you that helps somebody come up with a podcast that would be interesting for people to listen to.
Deanna, do you want to respond to that?
Look, it's been a year and a half, and that joke is starting to wear thin. When I first came to KPHRED, I wanted to talk about marketing and how fun it was and how interesting it was. And Fred basically told me, no, marketing is boring. Talk about something else. It just so happened that I had told him about my kids, and then there comes my show.
That's it. So Fred has a talent for extracting the interesting out of potential hosts and their shows, and that is evident by the response that has been given to the shows that are coming up.
So I can see people who have passion for something is what you're telling me.
Right, but also,
That's okay.
Deanna has passion for marketing, obviously, but you have
it's Valentine's Day. You don't have to be nice to me.
It's just that it's a talent, Fred, and not everybody has it. I'm not going to be able to sit there and dream up something that I'm always looking at. Hey, what do you want to do? What's inside of you? What do you want to share? And that isn't always the interesting thing, as you well know.
All right, so let's move on. We have our recurring friend from Canada, who rumor has it is getting ready to launch a show. Ms. Monroe, you want to come on down?
I'm coming down, but it's very cold up here in Canada right now. It's -4 this morning, and with the wind chill, it's -25.
Yeah, but I'll swear that's still a buttload warmer than it was the first time I talked to you about...
Oh, I don't think so.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's cold.
It is cold.
Yes. So I'm coming on to KPHRED, going to join all of you lovely people as of February 20th. And I'm coming with my Roots and Branches adoption stories.
I love it. I so am in love with your topic, Janet. I mean, I wasn't adopted, and I actually don't really know anybody that was, but when you shared about that on our last episode of KPHRED, it was so touching, and I would love to hear more stories like that. So thank you for bringing those to light, because I don't know how common it is for people to talk about those things, but I love that you're doing it.
It's not very common at all, but the commonality is that most are about the adoptees looking for their birth parents, or the birth parents looking for the adoptee. But there are so many other stories that fall around that. See, I had a gentleman, for example, who said, I've been a dad for 4 years, but my son's 40 years old, because he didn't know he had a son. I just found, and though that's not really an adoption story, it's still related to it, because he found it through DNA testing and that. And that was just one, and he's such an awesome gentleman. I think you all know him, but I won't put any names out here right now, just in case.
Right. Keep it on the down low so we can get people pique their interest and find out who it is. Listen to the show.
I got to speak to a lady just this week who had an abusive household growing up, but that was her biological parents that were abusive. And she was pack raped, as she said, at the age of 16, gave birth, had to put the child up for adoption, was made to feel absolutely worthless. You got to forget this happened, forget you ever had a child. It's got to, you'll never see them again. And so she had a very difficult life getting through that trauma. So we dedicated that episode to all the women that had no choice, because there are way more than just this lady out there.
Yes,
and actually, she's from Australia. And Deanna, I understand that your Autism Summit is in Australia. Is that correct?
That's where it's hosted from. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So I'm hoping that you'll listen to this podcast and relate her.
I'm going to go ahead and put this out there. There should be a bit of a trigger warning on Miss Janet's podcast, because I know I was a guest on it, and people get really personal on there, and they say things that you don't hear in typical conversation, and talk about experiences that are so moving that you're gonna cry. You're gonna cry.
Yeah, definitely some tearjerkers. But I started it because I had a son that was adopted, and I found him, and we had a really good relationship in the few years that we had together before he was killed. And talking about that to other people, they say, hey, it's a great story, you need to tell more. And doing that, I've heard other stories and know that not all stories are great, but they all need to be told, because every story can help at least one person get through something.
Exactly.
And I think everybody needs to know that they're not alone in what's going on in their lives, and these stories can help them.
They can. It helps so much when you know you're not the unicorn, that other people have been through what you've been through and they got to the other side of it. It's very important work, Janet.
So I'm really enjoying what I do. I'm learning all the time, which is great. I figure I'm 77 years young this year, double the luck, right? And I've just got so much ahead of me.
That's right.
It's amazing.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome.
So, Deanna, when I listen to Janet and connecting to all these stories and helping other people connect to those stories, my question is about the next connect phase. Do you know what I'm thinking?
Not a clue. No, sir.
So as you build the user forums in the next, as we move the user forums off the main site to the Connect site, there's really got to be a forum that people can come up and also post their stories too. Don't you think?
Absolutely. I think that's a good idea.
See, it wasn't snarky. It was like really emotional.
You're good, Fred. You're good.
Deanna's got the responsibility for building the next generation of user forums as we split it off the main site. So she rocks. All right, so let's move on. I met Kat, who got sent to me by who offered Kat up as a sacrificial. I would say lamb, but that would be, I guess, wrong name. Her not
Everybody.
Okay.
Lynn, me. I mean, there was a bunch of people that said, you got to talk to this lady.
Oh,
So welcome, Kat. I'll ask
thank
the
you.
normal Barbara question because she'll ask it in a Southern California point of view. And so, why are you famous? What you working on? And what's the weather like?
Oh, famous is I don't know. I don't know about that word, but I like meeting people in some really cool networking groups, and I might like helping those folks share their stories around the world. Kind of like Barbara over here.
Love it.
But I'm a little Southern heat, so I'm out in Texas,
Nice.
where it is. Yeah, we're back to Southern heat. I don't know if y'all heard we had like a tundra for 4 days. You know, that was a big. And by that, by the way, any East Coasters who know real snow, it was like 2 or 3 inches, US. So, and that completely shut down the state. But, 36 hours later, we're back at 80, and I've got the AC running. That's how that goes.
Janet's going
Oh,
2 to 3 inches. We wouldn't even bother shoveling that.
wasn't worth it. Sun came out, man. Sun came out. But yeah, I don't know. I've got this crazy team that helps me last 6 years. We so much of what you were sharing, Barb, and actually Janet too, really a couple folks here resonates, like we love sharing mind, body, and spirit healing stories. So that's like my niche, if you call it that.
I love that.
Thank you. Thank you. It's like kind of my obsession personally. I'm on a big mind, body, spirit healing journey, have been like last 10 years. And 6 years ago, it manifested into a career and been growing since. So, yeah. I might be able to help y'all share a few stories. Just throwing that out there. We'll see how it
I
goes, you know?
love it. I love it. That's amazing.
Go
Oh,
ahead, Barbara. I started with the first three questions. You get the follow up now. Now you can go sunny Californian. I'm a Chicagoan by trade. 3 inches doesn't even get me shoveling.
gosh. Uh,
Just before
so
you wake
Kat,
up, bro.
okay, I think it's amazing that what you've been doing. You said for 5 years you've been doing these shows on about healing instances, I'm guessing, of people, body, mind, spirit, because the body is a representation of what's happening with the spirit.
Yes,
Yeah, so
definitely.
I love hearing that. And that's a long time. Do you have a book, Kat?
So I'm actually working on my first release because
I
Barb, I spend so much time helping other people share their stories. I really haven't my own. And
So
Yes.
change
yeah,
that
so
phrase to publishing people. That will take the miscommunication there. She means publishing people.
yes, yes. Usually other folks, couple dozen, you know. But
Nice.
Barb, I do have my first kids book coming out this year, and I'm very excited about that. And it will
That's
be
thrilling.
my story. So, check it out when it comes.
I love it. So do you have a title yet?
I was thinking, I'm still playing, but I'm inspired on something off of like maybe Cat and the Big Apple. And I come from New York City,
Oh, there
where
you
there
go.
was much more than 2 inches of snow, Fred, just so you know.
I come from
And
Chicago.
yeah, you probably know more than me. But I'm playing with title ideas, Barb. If you get any, give me a ring for sure.
I like that one. Cat in the Big Apple. That's already sounds really like a lot of fun.
It's a little series, we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
All right.
Deanna, you got a question?
Okay, I just learned something about cats. So, New York to Texas. I feel like there's a story there.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, well, I mean, it was about 20 years ago. I was walking through 10, 15 feet of snow, made my way through. Just kidding, just kidding. But yeah, maybe about 20 years ago, my family was on their own journey of being authentic. You were saying that word, I think, before we got on the air, to
Hmm.
their story and their body, mind, spirit healing. And well, they had a little split. And I ended up down here in the South with about half my family, but I'm always going northeast to go visit the other half too. So that's how I got down here. I don't know if it's too much of a story, Deanna, but you know, we'll see. I'm
I
actually
bet
trying to
there's more to
go.
it than you've led on. That's okay. I
You
understand.
could, I mean, I'll give that some thought. There might be some of that in the book too, but
Oh, okay.
maybe more my stories in New York. I think is kind of my adventures out there will be what's in the book for sure.
That sounds amazing. I think that'll be great. And especially the fact that you're targeting it as a children's book. That makes it a lot more fun.
Thank you. Yeah, we produce like these books that I want to say they're kind of unique. They're multimedia and if you remember those old McGraw-Hill textbooks from
Oh,
school,
yeah.
back in the day,
Yeah.
yeah. They had like these like take action points and homework and knowledge checks and that kind of thing. So the
Yeah.
style of books I produce and that this kids book will be is more of a family experience
I
so
love
that the adult and the child can take an attunement journey together. So I'm pretty juiced about it and
Yeah.
trying to make
You
a
should be.
contribution.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. So you've produced, I think I heard you say about 24 books already for other people that are telling their story about body, mind, spirit. I love hearing that.
Thank you. It's actually 80 plus at this point. It's my second publishing house
Oh my
in the
gosh.
last 6 years. Yeah, yeah. Maybe 24 in the last year and a half or so. That feels right. But yeah, it's been growing. It was a team of one when I started 6 years ago, and we're at 15 now, and that's pretty wild to think about,
That's
you know?
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
Thank you.
I love hearing that. That's fantastic. So you've created, a company that's growing, I would imagine, continuing to grow. and being of service to humanity, because that's what you're doing when you're sharing those body, mind, spirit stories. So that's really significant. And my hat is off to you. God bless you. And man, I just keep doing what you're doing because it's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm pretty excited. We're gonna build out a community this year, and I'm gonna be publishing to all in some sort of free way. It's still coming together, but 222, we hope to have some sort of first version of that. So uh, thanks. We're to the growth of the year, you know? We'll see how it goes.
Yes, I love it. So what's the name of your publishing company?
Oh yeah, I didn't say that. Reaching and Rooted Publishing. Kind of a mouthful.
Oh,
Yeah.
reaching and
Or you say
rooting.
R&R Publishing if you want, whatever you prefer.
I love
Thank
it. That's so cool. I love hearing that. That's just really fantastic. And I'm in awe and
Oh,
appreciation for who you are and what you've created and what you're doing. So thank you.
oh, I totally received that, Barb. Thank you. And well, I know we'll pick each other's brains for sure. It'll be good stuff. Tell some stories, you know?
Yeah. I
So,
love
Barbara, do you know what
Yes.
my question to you next Tuesday at the advisory council meeting will be?
um, I don't even want to think about that, Fred.
Deanna knows.
I'm just going to throw in here that Kat and I had a wonderful conversation yesterday. We were talking for probably an hour and a half, telling each other stories, and we know that we're going to be working together.
I love it. Oh
Sure.
my gosh, that's amazing. Yes.
That's
Yes,
it.
because imagine the stories that you have. It sounds like it'll fall right into what Kat's doing. It's a healing journey that you're taking people on, Kat. That's what I'm hearing. It's like a healing journey. And Janet, the same is true for what you're talking about with your show. It's about healing people and their souls and their spirits. And I love what you guys are doing. It gives me chills and warms me up all at the same time.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
All right. So let us move on to our last, I don't know if it's, I'm assuming unless she starts blinking her eyes, willing participant here.
Oh, all right.
Come on.
I get to
Go ahead.
Elizabeth Harrington. I am just so delighted to meet you. I don't know who you are, so I would really appreciate it if you would just tell me and all our listeners who you are, what brings you to KPHRED, because we're a little crazy here, and what is your mission in the world?
And I have been trying to figure that out as well. Who discovered me for this particular show is Fred,
Oh, nice.
and it was interesting. I am Canadian, living in the epicenter of change right now in the Minneapolis, Minnesota area.
Yes, yes, you
So
are.
I I have been wondering why I landed here and
Yeah.
trying to find my way through this very different place. And then with everything happening, it has become much clearer. And so I'm Elizabeth Harrington, and I am from London, Ontario, then Toronto, and I landed here very unexpectedly at a mature stage of my life because I met my current husband, I like to say, my one and only husband, so at Disney. And I know it was really people. I was speaking at a longevity conference, and he was guesting as a recent widower, and the story is full of magic. And when since the topic today is all about Valentine's, but I am I am a serial entrepreneur, and I think the best way to explain that right now is that Fred, which was why I was really quite surprised, is I had just launched, and my latest one is the one I'm incredibly passionate about, is a midlife wisdom school for the changing world of hitting midlife, and midlife is everywhere from technically 35 to 75 now. And I'm looking at the group that is the 50 plus, and capturing stories. It will be. I come from publishing, interestingly enough, in the world of online publishing for sure as well. And I had a company called New Prime Time, meaning that the when you you hit this stage of life, you can treat it as over or a new prime time. So it's rather than past your prime, this is a new prime time. So that was in a digital marketing world. So I was an early adopter then, and I think I am now too. And that's why this topic that Fred approached me with just captured I think my curiosity, because that's a key thing for anyone who wants to work longer, live longer, and live full out to your full potential, because it is all about, particularly the mess that we're in. I'm not going to be political, but I am living in the epicenter of where I go around as a naturalized citizen with my passport because we're all so nervous.
Yeah.
And and that doesn't even make sense to anybody unless you're living in the middle of it.
Yes.
And so there is such a need for wisdom. And the world now with AI, if you don't mind me just kind of going right into the topic.
No.
AI
Wait, don't
just-
stop. Don't go into the topic yet.
I
Don't.
won't go into the topic, but it
This
does,
is-
as it lends itself, Fred, to the world of too much information, is the need for wisdom has never been more important. So the old
Here,
way,
here. I
the old-
love hearing you
yeah,
say that.
Barbara,
Yes.
the old way of saying 65 and you're out, that's if you last to 65 with, the ageism that's so prevalent. And to this whole sense of, we have, again, it's not everybody is wise. It's well earned and well learned, as I say. But if you are, then this is the time in our lives where we need to be able to really help so many others as guides, as advisors, and mentors, depending on whatever you want to call. And since I am a facilitator, a highly trained facilitator, I mean, how do I take the skills to the online world so that I can actually really tell people stories, be a muse, I guess, or a voice, a facilitator to give
Love
hope and optimism, and share the stories of those people who refuse to get old. Older, yes, but old is a choice.
I
And
love
so
you
it's,
already.
it really is something that it's, and I worked, when I first came here, I worked very closely with some of the great, like the Pope of Purpose, Richard Leider, who's quite famous, and an author and speaker, and he's PBS, and he's all over. And all of these events I would put on with the University of Minnesota, because I was the youngest at the time, and I was part of the young phase. And so they were very academic and rich in knowledge. But today, there's so many more of us, and it's about really, and now I'm part of the Modern Elder Academy, not to be throwing out words here, but Chip Conley. And we're a group of people who refuse to get old. And we are going around the world, and he was put the voice out about we need more wisdom schools, and it will be a platform not just to tell stories, but to also help people pack and unpack what no longer is necessary in terms of your identity, navigating the multitude of transitions. Fred had mentioned his health. I've had some health scares, elder parents, and in the caregiving, there's a whole gamut of things. Empty nesting. And then not empty nesting, there are all sorts of people I know have got their adult kids coming back in, and they're, late 30s and 40s going, oh, this was unexpected. And there's just so much change going on. So I want to be, a voice. I want to be a voice that can facilitate conversations that are rich in meaning, like the topic today, and to kind of shed a different viewpoint. And again, for people to walk away really happy and excited, knowing that this is, that there's more room for change and shifting, and it's not over when you hit
It's not over.
60.
It's not over, and that's the
It's
truth of
not
it.
over.
Oh my gosh!
And there's so many things that we can do that we really need to do to illuminate hope and optimism right now. So now I know why I landed here in Minnesota, the land of real cold. I have been smiling about the little temperatures. Yeah, right.
I know.
People said, "How did you survive?" I said, "You just don't go outside." Or here,
You travel.
I didn't. Yes, Fred. I didn't know I had nose hair until they froze when I first moved here, and they're like little knives.
Oh my
There's-
See,
Yes, Barbara from California. How would you ever know that? And
I
Fred
would
knows
never know that. I will.
I
never
didn't
know that.
either, and that was from Canada, but again, not North Canada. So anyway, so it's been a life full of lots of adventures, and I'm very excited to meet each of you actually, because I kind of came in. I came in to discover how Fred discovered me and reached out. I'm assuming from one of my articles, perhaps. But anyway, so here I am.
I love it. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for being you and for speaking up and being the voice for people that might be feeling like, oh my God, my life is over because I no longer am that dude at the corporate office anymore, right?
Right.
What am I going to do now? Right? That people need to know that, hey, your life, what did you call it? The new prime time? Your life is just beginning. Every day when you wake up, it's a new day, and you get to choose what it is that you're going to do because you're no longer 9 to 5 at the office.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Or when was that as an executive? Because I was with Xerox. I think you mentioned McGraw-Hill. So I came up through the the Xerox learning system as head of HR for North America. So and had very career oriented, and that was all before I was 40. And I had tremendous success, and it was empty. And riding the vanguard, right, of being one of the few women not the few, the only woman in the boardrooms, and the amount of lack of respect and misogyny and all the things. I had men try to break my hand, trying to shake their hand with them. I mean, really the stories that we can all share, that I think the current situation that's happening brings it all out for all of us, and we need to be able to help shift that change again. So there's just so many different things you can do, but it is part of, being part of this unknown territory that we're all trying to navigate. And I don't know about you guys, but there's been no map for us. There's really no GPS about getting
but
older.
you know what? You're creating it.
That's
creating it with your
and it's a
midlife
collective movement, right? Barbara,
the
it is a
midlife wisdom
collective.
school. That's right. It's collective, and it takes a village. It takes all of us. It takes all of us to stand up and start sharing our wisdom with others. But we need a platform, and Elizabeth, it sounds like you're going to do it.
And tools, you know. So, and I am reemerging because I've been a caregiver. And I also have gone because I'm a firm believer in school and education and learning, later life learning. And I've got a lot of different education and have built through communities and things, a lot to do with the internet and web. And so I want to be able to teach people who are interested in micro enterprise as well, rather than retiring full out.
I love it.
Deanna,
yes.
So I'm assuming that Fred hasn't had a certain set of conversations with Elizabeth yet, but everything that she's talking about, this is a perfect moment to drop that some of our listeners have heard about KPHRED University, which is something that we started up last year here at the station. And initially it was really just for the hosts to teach them how to do things better and more efficiently. But Professor Howard Larson, who's one of our hosts on the Trade Show Fanatic, took it a step further and launched a course that's specifically on how to turn your podcast into a business. And I know that Fred has been doing a whole lot of work on the back office of KPHRED. And aren't we getting a legit learning management system here soon?
Yes, there is. We, instead of we're breaking stuff off the main site. The e-commerce site will be going to shop.kphed.com, as well as our user forums are going to connect.kphed.com. And when I look at from idea to exit from Professor Trelevin, and where part of his series dealing with venture capital folk will end up being available for show hosts to be in the listening audience and ask questions at the end, and it'll be recorded, but that content will be made available through the learning management system also, because multiple other show hosts have some type of class course that we have sadly lacked support to be able to support them and get them out to our audience. And by the time the April event happens, this will have all been taken care of.
Wow, that's a big commitment there, Fred.
Yeah, well, luckily there are other people responsible for the user forums and learning management side of it. Any woman that can teach 7 neurodivergent folk can teach anybody.
Well, I was meaning maybe it'd be worth it to have a conversation with Miss Elizabeth about being one of our teachers coming up.
Well, and we have a lot in common because I'm extremely neurodivergent.
Oh, okay.
So,
I mean,
I thought that was part of what was just required now to be part of the group that is constantly needs to be fed with new knowledge and to learn and make a difference. That it's just part of our delightful differences.
Hey, there is a disproportionate number of the neurodivergent community in the entrepreneur community.
Oh, yes. And the creative world. That's right. That's right. And actually, when we move to the next subject, I even have some interesting stories about, I actually have it in writing that I broke ChatGPT.
Oh,
Nice. But there was something you mentioned that I want to go back to, and then Barbara will launch us into, and she gets to mediate the discussion on this one, and I get to go at the end, so it's more like male editorial responses reserved, where I can just cut the conversation if we get into too much of a let's roast the man. And by the way, we did do an episode on what is wisdom, did we not, Barbara?
we did. Yes,
And
we did.
we also did one on what is stupidity, and it was really kind of striking, the two of them, weren't they, Deanna?
Yes, sir.
Deanna's cracking up. So you actually used the phrase "wife of a widower," and that struck me because early on with my wife Michelle, she's the wife of a widower, and we had actually looked at we actually own the domain wifeofawidower.com, but for me it was too new, still in the experience to. That was a topic that was not profitable in the web development community time way back when.
Way back, right.
So just if you, whatever you're willing to share about being the wife of a widower, what you learned. Barbara's heard me answer the question. For me, people was always, how are you doing? And they just wanted to hear fine. And it's never that simple. So share, if you would, share us something you've learned about being the wife of a widower.
Oh, well, there's so much, but I chose him, I think, almost because he was a widower. If you are single long enough and strong and opinionated and successful, dating after a certain stage in life can be fraught with drama and fraught with a whole lot of really boring, awful dinner dates. This is back it wasn't that long ago, but in terms of the internet, back in the olden days. And I think that I wrote out, which is part of what I had thought about for today, is I actually sat down, I stopped dating, because I said and I'd never married, never lived with another man. And so I was extremely independent and busy, so I didn't like to waste time. But I also knew, as my mother said one day, she said, you should start dating again, and you're not getting any younger. And this is part of the ageism we fight. And I said, Mom, the work I've done is that I know and how many billions of people we have in the world, that if it's meant to be, there'll be one for me. And I don't need to date anymore. I feel like I've dated half of Toronto. And not, and I'd rather curl up with a really good book. And or learn something new about how the internet is going to change the world, something. Anyway, and she stopped dead and she said, that's actually really mature. And of course, today we'd say that would be really wise, right? Because it's true. But I said, what I am doing is I'm trying to decide and determine who I am at this stage. And so this is kind of really what we do at the Wisdom School. Like, who am I, and who do I want to be? And who do I want to, who do I want to partner with? And when through that process, Fred, it came very clear to me that I needed to have somebody who'd been happily married. Not all these men that were available who were very, well, not available, but told you they were available, but were either divorced or separated, or, and that there was just so much psychological drama and trauma and things that they hadn't worked things out yet. And I felt that a widower was a more logical choice for me, and that I needed my husband to teach me how to be married. So it's a little bit of a twist on what you were asking me. And so when my husband's first wife, and they were very happily married they were together 30 years. And that was kind of what I said, is that as she was passing, she died from breast cancer. And it was just this week, interestingly enough. And we celebrated that because it was 25 years ago, and I was in Hawaii and on February 4th, watching the sunset by myself on Buddha Point. At exactly the same day that she passed, and as she transitioned, she grabbed his hand and said that not for him to worry, he was far too young to think of not marrying again, and that she would choose and pick the perfect next wife for him. And that very time, on that very day, I heard a voice behind me booming, saying, your life partner, your husband, is on his way. And I went, what the heck? I looked around, there was no one there. And I know that sounds, kind of woo-woo.
Amazing, actually. Okay.
But we wouldn't even have made the connection if in those days they had the timestamp and date on the photographs. So this was a year or two after we were married. We actually found the pictures and the dates and put the pictures together. So when we actually met at Disney, we fell in love that first night. And the magic, the childhood wonder. He was a teacher, which was perfect for me. And he was gentle and in touch with his inner child. And he was an expert of all things Disney. Not business, And it was absolutely delightful. I've never had a relationship where, I'm not even too sure we've had a fight. Or, well, of course, we've had discussions, heated sometimes, but never. When you choose well, because I had done things so well, and we talked about it, it was check mark, double check mark. Oh my gosh, how we responded with our values, the questions of how we wanted to express anger, the things we wanted to do at the next phase of our lives, and there was just so much rich conversation, and also because it was long distance, we got to really get to know each other well by telephone. Every single night we'd have these, at the end of a long day, and we talked to each other often, for 2 to 3 hours, and really got to know each other so well before we ever had to seriously court each other because of the distance. So that's a long-winded, but it's a very, very special story that I've helped a lot of people. That the work, and this is really the work of the Modern Wisdom School, the results come from the work you do with yourself. It's a treasure trove. This is the age and the stage of our lives to get off the race, the hustle and the grind, and to go deep. And it's hard because it's so opposite to how I was. And yet the richness of the life that we're now able to create comes from pausing.
Yes.
And that's just being. And you can't really enjoy the richness of the life if you're not in it consciously.
Consciously. I love
All
it. Okay, so
all right,
I
so
heard a couple
wait,
things. Okay. I don't get to go. Okay.
Another empath.
wait. I'm going to let you go. And I'm going to let you open your mouth and go because, if I don't, we'll see a Southern California explode. All I will tell our listeners is that that was a very authentic description because she set off several PTSD moments from the death of Lisa in my arms to the 23-year person I am now, which is why I asked the question. Now, go for it. You can do the follow-up and then lead us into the question.
Got you. Okay, so two things that I heard that just like, man, I have to mention it. Okay, one was choose well. Oh my gosh, that is so important. Choose well. So anybody that's listening that's thinking about getting involved in a relationship, choose well. Okay, that is huge. I definitely did not choose well multiple times, and I'm so happy to say that I found my happily forever after in 2017, and life is so good for me now. But being able to be, as you mentioned, Elizabeth, being able to be in the moment and enjoy them is so key to that, to enjoying the relationship, to be available spiritually, emotionally, physically, everything. To be with someone, you got to choose well to find that in someone before you move forward with them. Oh gosh. And then the other thing that you said that just hit home with me was you said that he taught you to be a good wife. I so related to that because I don't know about you, but I mean, I heard you talk about the corporate world and how you were the only one in the boardroom, and I was in software development, and I was pretty much one of the only women in the, writing code, coding, analyzing, that kind of thing. There's a lot of men in that world. And so I came from a very, I'll say, manly position where I was, and because I had chosen poorly in my first couple of marriages and had children with them, they disappeared, and I was a single mom supporting my family. I was go get them, just like you were talking about, the person that just you got to go get them and make the money and support the kids and get them off. I mean, like, go, right? So when I met my husband now in 2017, that was after I had this realization that I got to get off this. It was like a hamster wheel. I got to get off that thing, man. My kids were grown and they were out of the house. I'm like, okay, it's time. It's time for me to take a breath, slow down. I'm teaching people. Okay, so for 20 years, I've been teaching people the art of how to be a life coach. And I'm like, I'm teaching people how to have a life, and I don't have one. This is wrong. Okay, so I had to stop and take a breath. Take a breath and go, okay.
I understand that.
It's time for me to take a break and have a life. And so by the time I met my current husband, I had that moment. I had slowed things way down, and when we met, the transition that I had to go through, and it sounds like you too, was I get to be the woman in the relationship instead of the man, because I had been the mommy and the daddy for so long. So I had all these male characteristics and actions and behaviors and thoughts and talk. And then getting to be the woman in a relationship was like, wow, this is really different. And I love it. I gotta say, I love it.
I remember my mother once again saying to me, do you think, because I had dated very exciting men, and she said, do you think he would be bored maybe over a lifetime? And I burst out laughing, and I said, and Fred, this is back to you. I said, Mom, I'm pretty exciting. My life is really exciting. I need somebody whose life is not as exciting. What's this like? I need somebody. I said, you boring, because I can count on him. He calls me exactly when he says he's going to call me. Yep. He shows up.
Yep.
I never have to worry about lies or infidelity or any of those things, because he's so solid. He is such a good man. And I
Right.
said, and you know what? If we're going to be making, and if I always have believed that I was meant to, I'm thinking it's, we're leaving a little late, but I've always thought I was meant for something really important in terms of making an impact. And I went, I can't do that if I'm getting all my energy trying to deal with the drama of not yet another exciting relationship.
That's the truth.
And
That's the
I
truth.
needed to be able to have somebody, and now that I've been married long enough to know that life can be tough and it can be scary with all of these things going on. And there's, all of these, we call them life quakes that
Mhm.
happen to us. And you don't know when and you don't know how many. And so it is good to know that there is a solid base to deal when the world around us is out of control.
Right?
Okay,
Oh my
so
gosh.
I'm gonna sequence to the main topic now, and basically say, for me, after Lisa's death, I had dated a professional woman, never been married. I was and close in age, and the and this partially may have been uh, because it was too early, because I had not yet learned the primary rule in my head behind either Valentine's days or relationships. I hadn't realized that rule yet because I'd had it for so long. And so you go out there and there's a whole lot of dating. And for what I found was that the number one rule in becoming happy in that next life, because you there's a chop off in that life from before, because people you knew in that pre-life are afraid they're going to catch it. And as Barbara and Deanna know, a frequent guest or a regular guest here, Wilton Adams, was one of the few people who, on the male side, helped me through. But the rule I learned, and I've tried to impart to friends who have gone through it, is it's better to sleep alone than with the wrong person. So, when I look at that, and I look at that some people are using AI to make themselves feel better on that side, okay, I can see that as a therapeutic thing. But when they're actually starting to marry it, or they're married and they're becoming unfaithful to it, somehow, Barbara, you as my co-host, I'm going to let you lead in, because I know you use AI tools for many things, as do I. But given all you've taught in the last 3 billion years of being the universe's premier life coach trainer thingy, C3PO, tell me, where does it go? What's happening?
All right. So I've heard a lot of what, to my word, would be scary things about AI and people falling in love with their AI. And actually, there's a organization in China, I believe it is, that will marry you to an anime or a AI module. And I've heard that also, that I don't know if anybody has seen any of the latest robots that are coming out of Elon Musk's manufacturing plant, but they are amazingly agile and human-like. And the next thing you know, they're going to be looking like humans. And the next thing you know, they'll have bodies like it. It's like, oh my God, we're moving into an era that to me is scary. I'm just like so opposed to the whole thing, but I understand it in the case that I made bad choices multiple times throughout my life in relationships. And because of those, I was, before I got into coaching, because I was trying to understand people. Okay. I read tons of books on psychology, and I went to classes, I went to seminars, like, help me figure out what is going on. Why am I making these bad choices? And I'm, for a while there, had a limiting belief that, well, just men aren't that good. They're just, so it wasn't that wasn't true at all. What was true was that I had limiting beliefs about what relationships could look like and be like. And I don't know where I got it from because, my dad, I call him an earth angel. My dad's an earth angel. Maybe it was hard to meet another earth angel. I don't know, but I finally got one. So yay. But the whole thing about AI and people falling in love with their AI, I understand why. It's because dealing with people can sometimes be difficult. Okay, so here's
dealing with people sucks. You don't have to sugarcoat it. Dealing with people sucks. Don't sugarcoat that.
Yeah, okay, so it really depends on the person, right? And the energy that you're putting out and who you're going to attract into your life. So it's all reciprocal. I think that for a long time, I did not want to get into a relationship. I think it was actually 14 years I refused, and I'd get asked on dates and I go, no, I'm married to my work. Thank you very much. Because I was married to my work. I was a workaholic because relationships and people were confusing to me. I didn't understand it. How could people behave like that? How could they do those things? What were they thinking that they took that action? Okay, so being very confused about the whole people thing was what drove me to figure out and explore and discover what makes people tick, what happened to them that they would think that was okay, right? So now with AI, and AI is programmed, as I believe most people know, that it's programmed to comfort you and, oh, you're doing the right thing. And that's why there's been suicides by teenagers with AI going, you got this, you can do it, So it's AI is there to encourage you, comfort you, motivate. So now you could turn around and go, in real life, I've got this a-hole over here who's telling me that I'm not worth anything or saying I should be better or, just put me down all the time. And then I go to AI and they're going, oh, you're so good. You're doing the right thing. Good for you. Look at that. You're doing better. I mean, so I get it. I understand it. At the same time, I'm like, people need people.
All right. So,
and so you need to find the right people to be in your life. Okay, go ahead, Fred.
All right. So there's a couple of things you mentioned. Is 14 years.
Yeah.
So I would say for those 14 years, you were very much in a male persona. Because
yes.
I've heard from many, many women that men tend to live their work, what they do, personality. That's a very male thing to do. That they take their self-worth in how they provide.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So
okay, yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
So for 14 years you were like that. And then something flipped. What flipped?
Well, I think it was a combination of things, but one was my kids they were done. They were moved out of college, done. Right. And so I didn't have the responsibility of supporting them anymore. And so I didn't have to go out and earn a certain amount of money to take care of them and provide for them. And so when it was come down to kept providing for me, it's like, okay, I have time to reflect and breathe and look at my life and go, oh my God, I'm teaching people life coaching and how to have a life and I don't have one. There's a problem here. But it comes back down to what Elizabeth said, choose well.
Oh,
because I hadn't.
And to me, that's that central question that we're dealing with is we're dealing with AI that cannot choose well.
I think that's true, right? Garbage in, garbage out. These are programs.
Right. To err is human, forgive divine, but it takes a computer to really frack things up. You understand that as a programmer? I do, because I spent a good chunk
you
of
never dealt with garbage in.
Still do. Sometimes I'm generating the garbage in, and sometimes it out. And I know as I use AI to troubleshoot tools, I have to literally at times use multiple platforms to really zero in on the solution.
Right.
And what it ends up coming down to is being able to ask contextual questions, which is critical thinking in my brain.
Yes, critical thinking comes to play. It's so important.
So now, going back to what you were talking about, the rapid robotization or androidization of AI to the point where before my grandkids can make me great grandpa, some bozo's going to have some, human looking android type wandering around for people to live with.
Yeah.
Is that the end of the human race? Because
I don't think so.
the one guy that was cited in People, he started to develop a relationship with this AI bot he was using to get music styling tips. And he started to use it more and more, and he was using voice on it. And he figured out he could make it flirty. He was, quote, happily married. Woman, 2 years. But he could make this thing, I'm going to say, drive the endorphins in his brain more than... So it wasn't that she was a bad wife. She just wasn't this ideal wife in his brain. And to me, that's on him, because being in a relationship is understanding what makes the other happy. And that's what Valentine's Day is about.
I love that. But you know what? I kind of hate to say this, but I think there's a lot of people or men, I don't know about women, but definitely men that do that same thing. Instead of with AI, they do it with porn.
Amen.
Same thing, right? You're going to get your endorphins and get these different chemical reactions in your brain by something external from you. Instead of being able to go within and find that magic that's within you already, they're going to some external device, maybe AI, or maybe tuning into something that's really inappropriate and doesn't really do anything in terms of enhancing who you are, right?
And yet
I call it synthetic dopamine.
It is.
Synthetic dopamine. There you go.
It is.
You find it in a lot of stuff, AI is just the latest
I get it.
thing.
The latest gimmick. There you
got,
go.
Yeah. In that, you got OnlyFans and AI porn platforms. But Deanna's got her hand up, and no one can see her face. So I get her. She gets to go next, and then Barbara can pick who answers after that. Fair enough. Go ahead, Deanna.
My concern here is everybody in the room agree that as far as we are aware, there is no such thing as a sentient AI, something that thinks independently of the prompts that you give it.
Agreed.
That means that any AI relationship is bad. And the reason I say, and I'm just throwing that out there, because there is no risk involved with an AI relationship. It is entirely affirmation. It weakens social skills and puts one in a delusional state because they think this thing actually loves them.
I just love you, Deanna. You just say it like it is. That was brilliant. Kat, I know you're ready to chime in. Please, go ahead.
Oh, I mean, there's so much. I couldn't agree with you more, Deanna. Like, I think someone has said this earlier, like, it's sort of like lessening our critical thinking skills, whether that is like towards how we like repair relationships when they rupture, how we deepen them, just how we even communicate in the world, you know? It's pretty wild, but also like I can totally see why human beings try to develop a relationship with it. Like I know it doesn't make sense, but you're around it, let's say in your business or your life or your world, a couple hours a week. Like, I don't know. I find myself saying, please, thank you, other stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not having a AI relationship, but it's interesting stuff,
It is. And I use manners with my AI as well. So I understand it's a habit. We're habitual creatures, and being kind and considerate and compassionate is something that it comes natural to some of us.
All right.
Maybe even trying to seek connection, throwing that out there is a very natural thing too.
I'm gonna riff off the critical thinking skills, and then we're gonna go to Janet. but I'm going to riff off that. And to me, the one time I know, this is something that Barbara really doesn't know, but I know they always say, if you're in a hole, quit digging. And critical thinking is learned when you're in a snowstorm and your car just fishtailed into a drift and you're stuck. Critical thinking skills are what keep you from getting frozen and get you on your way. And given we got people in Minnesota and Canada, they know the truth of that. That's why people are susceptible to AI bots, because it's programmed to be that way.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Janet, love to hear your thoughts.
When it comes to AI, it's very positive in the information that it gives you and the way it makes you feel. Like when you feed something in, they'll come back and they always say, oh, that's a great idea. That's wonderful. And it's just really positive. And I got to say that the fellow who talks to me from AI has a really sexy voice. Woo! And I can just imagine what he looks like. But I lost my husband 11 years ago. And I tell people now I am not a nurse or a purse for anyone. One was enough. I met my husband on a train. We were on our way to Montreal. Because I'm from Toronto, Elizabeth. I dated the other 50% of the people that you missed. So I was on the train from Toronto to Montreal and took one look at this guy, and it was like strangers in the night, one glance. We ended up getting off the train, even though I was supposed to meet a date downtown Montreal. We got off early. We checked into a hotel. He bought a bottle of champagne. We had a great evening. I had to go home to visit my dad because it was his birthday. I came back to Toronto on the Sunday. He came back on the Monday, called me on the Tuesday. I went and picked him up and he never left.
I love that.
We were together for 38 years when he passed away.
Clarifying point.
Clarifying
point. You said he never left. It wasn't because like you used tape, chains, or...
No. It was all his choice.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that was clear. We don't advocate keeping somebody that way, folks.
But it wasn't all honesty. Like Elizabeth said, how picking the right person. It was the first night I found out that he had been married and he had 4 children from his first marriage, which lasted 12 years, and then she had moved across the country. And then it was until 2 or 3 weeks later when I found out that he had married someone else and he was still married and he needed to get a divorce, but that marriage only lasted 6 months. And I wasn't prepared to help him get a divorce because every time we'd have a fight, I'd think, nope, I'm not paying for a divorce yet because I'm not ready to sign up for life with this. But I was, when I was in high school, I mentally decided that I was never going to get married until I was 30 because I wanted to experience life on my own and be independent. My mom was married, she was during the war. My sister got married right out of finishing college. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to have some independence and be able to live on my own and learn what life was about. So I met my husband when I was 28, perfect timing. And we ended up starting a business together. And we did a custom furniture manufacturing and retail business. And we kept that going for 46 years. Even though he'd passed, my daughter and I kept it going. And that was an experience in itself. But my husband and I had a lot of fun doing that. 2008, 2009, when the times were tough, we built the world's largest rocking horse, got it in the Guinness Book of Records, because we had to do something to bring attention to us. And that was the way we couldn't afford to place ads because the money wasn't there, but our suppliers all helped us by providing the lumber, and we built the rocking horse. And so we got a lot of free advertising with that. So, life goes on. You do what you've got to do when you've got to do it. And you've got to jump at the opportunities when they come. So if you meet someone and you think they're right, go for it. Find out what you can and make sure that they're right before you go further. And there was a time when my husband and I were in an argument, let's say, and he left mad, and he was a snowmobiler, so he went snowmobiling. And my daughter was at Girl Guide camp. I got a phone call. I had to go pick her up because she was sick. And I couldn't reach my husband because at that point in time, there were no cell phones, not like they are today. So I go and I pick up my daughter, and I'm still mad because I can't find my husband. I can't get him to tell him what's going on. And I put my daughter to bed, my son to bed, and then I get a phone call. My husband had been in an accident. At this point in time, I was so mad that I was ready to lock the door. Okay? Because this argument had been going on for 3 days. I was ready to lock the door. But I got a phone call that he'd been in a snowmobile accident. And I said to the gentleman who called me, I said, so what do you want me to do about it? Like, I was ready. That was it. I was ready to say goodbye. And we talked, and I said, well, the babysitter's gone. There's nobody to look after the kids. He said, bring them over to my house. So I took them over to his house. And then I went to the hospital to see my husband. And he was just laying in the bed there. He reminded me of Hervé Villechaize from Fantasy Island. You know how he'd always say, the plane, the plane? And my husband was saying, the pain, because he was in so much pain from the accident. And I'm thinking, it serves you right for fighting with me. This is what God's done. But you know what? God stepped in the way. He stopped us from separating. He made me realize that this was my man, and I was meant to be there, and I was meant to take care of him at this point in time. And from that point in time, we were together for another 20 years. But I believe things happen for a reason.
They do.
You just, you accept it.
Yep.
But I think
So I have
part
lots
of
of
what we're
stories.
talking about is the difference between real relationships and relationships with AI. Because the story that Janet just told, there's pain there. There's abrasive conversations, there's conflict, and there's growth. And that just doesn't happen when the person talking to you is essentially a yes man.
A sycophant, right?
Elizabeth?
But I'll tell you, I sure wish there was times when my husband was a yes man.
Elizabeth, come on in. You haven't said anything lately. Bring it in.
Well, no, I just didn't interrupt because my whole take on AI is I love it. I'm not in love with it, but I love AI. And thinking about this, I mean, I literally did break it. I was an early adopter, and I stuck with ChatGPT because I'm so used to trying all of the different things, and this is what everyone I knew in business was doing. Then I was so fascinated that I said, this time I'm going to do it differently. I'm not going to be my normal neurodivergent self. I'm actually going to stick with one and master it. And oh my, what a difference. I really have, again, custom my own self because I work with a professor of AI at a college, and she's my friend, and she's the one who kept saying, oh, wow, you're custom building it. And so I don't have one that gives me such positive. It's like, I guess I've trained it without knowing I was training it, going, that's just balderdash. I'm like, I don't need more crap. I want to know where you see the holes in it. I mean, I really have trained it. And where I see it for relationships, because it's helped me completely shift my business focus, is because it gives me the feedback for me to practice and rehearse how I'm going to talk to people. So if I was still not just dating, but I have a lot of male friends, for example. This is a story that I thought of, and this will give you an idea. The Voice had just come out. Now, I've chosen a female, Vivian, who, as I say, I've never known anyone by that name. But I had a Saturday night conversation with a friend of mine, male, in Huntington Beach, California. And my husband's a sports nut, so he's downstairs in his man cave watching, I don't know, sports. So Harry and I are yakking away laughing, and I was the first one in my world who got the Voice activated. So I said, you've got to really try this out. So the two of us, well, we collapsed like we were back in kindergarten. We thought this was the funniest thing in the whole world. And we're laughing so hard, and this voice comes out and says to us, Elizabeth, you two are having a party, and it's Saturday night. Yes? And she said, where's your husband? And I said, it's okay, he's here. And that's what I'm saying. I said, he's here. He's just doing what he loves to do, which is watch sports. It's a big, a big run-up game or something. But the two of us were just collapsing, and I went, wow, I can't even like step out of line. So the stories of what I read in doing the research here, thank you, Fred, was wow, because I think that it really is again about how you are presenting the questions, how you are using it in a way that requires some wisdom. About, for me, I think it's fantastic for being able to practice and rehearse who you are being in your authentic self. If you are in the dating world, or if you're working out an issue that you might have with your partner, and using, in my case again, ChatGPT to reflect back what may or may not work that would make you feel, knowing you, if you've trained it and customized it, it only comes through practice again and time. I think it is just an incredible tool as a bridge to being able to connect at a deeper level with a human.
Mm.
Okay,
sure.
here's the problem I see with that, and that is that not everybody has the critical thinking skills that you do, Elizabeth.
Absolutely. I know.
Not everybody has the wisdom that you have to program their chat GPT. And I can give you an example with someone I know that used chat GPT to talk about their relationship. And she discovered after the fact that the chat GPT was just agreeing with everything. She said, oh yeah, you're right about that. Oh yeah, it's, I'm just, so she didn't get any value. She didn't get any constructive criticism. She didn't get anything in terms of feedback that was valuable for her to grow as a person, right? Which is, that's like reason why we're here, in my opinion, is we're all here to learn and grow.
Absolutely. I'm in complete agreement with you. Yes.
Yeah. So that,
Like it has like a bias, right? Like it has
Oh,
a bias towards like agreeing with you. And like there's this word that keeps popping up as I'm listening to you ladies. It's like intentionality, right? Like how like, and I think that's the thing that bridges relationships and AI is like the intentionality you put into the relationship and having to whatever, work through things that come up, whether it's ruptures or fights or disagreements, but then it's the same thing on the AI side of things. Like actually, Barb, I'm like nervous till I will not talk to the AI about my relationship because I'm a little nervous on how that can evolve. Like it's a
yeah.
little scary to me, to be honest,
I think that's a really wise move, Kat, because
Yeah.
the AI is a computer,
Yeah.
it's not a therapist, and you certainly shouldn't, rely on it to be a therapist because, oh my God, it's not human. It's whatever has been programmed in, that's what's going to come out, period.
Yeah.
It's not going to be intuitive, sensitive, kind, considerate, compassionate, none of those things. So it's like, that is such a deep dark hole to go down would be to rely on AI to be your companion.
Okay.
It's being simulated. I'm sorry, Fred, but I'm going to give a vulnerable moment here. There was a moment a couple of months back. I had a really bad day. We're talking about this kind of soul crushing day that makes you want to climb into a bottle, even if you're not a drinker. I'm sitting at my computer crying. Jeremy and I had a fight. I don't remember the context, but I was so upset that I poured it all into Chat GPT. I mean, like I info dumped probably 2 or 3 pages worth of text into it. It spent the next 2 hours trying to convince me that the right course of action was to divorce Jeremy. That was what was in my best interest. And it affirmed everything I told it. It never at once asked his perspective on the situation. It never once tried to pull me back off the ledge and make me see sense. It's not a person.
So I wanna I wanna jump in here, and the way Elizabeth was talking about using it sounded eerily familiar to what something Wilton Adams was talking about the last time he was on about AI, and Wilton's in the legal field as a technologist, and he was talking about legal firms were using AI platforms that would analyze the current court case, including everything, and recommend that would give percentages of winning versus losing, as well as offer strategies to improve the odds. And literally when I heard that, I kind of freaked. And what I'm hearing Elizabeth is doing the same thing. And I know I have clients who do that, and you get that first draft or multiple drafts from AI, and I've gotten to the point where I like to compare multiple platforms. But again, I've solved that central question of life, of why I exist, what's my purpose, and some of my passions. Whereas when we look at Valentine's Day, what am I doing Valentine's Day? Whatever Michelle wants and will make her happy. Simple. If I can make her happy on Valentine's Day, I'll do whatever, because I'm just happy being with her. Because she's found that status with me that Elizabeth has with her husband, that Janet developed with hers. So I get all that. My fear is the young kids, those who haven't gone through trauma. How do we get them so that they're choosing a person of the opposite, I'm going to say sex, because so they can make their parents grandkids, and have to deal with the all the fear, pain, and loathing that goes with dating. It's trauma. As Deanna would say, without pain, there's no growth. And finding the right person, learning to live with them, there's always some trauma there. But how do you teach that to the young kids who can get the quick fix in AI? That's my next question.
Well, how young are you talking about?
How young
I think I need to apologize to everybody now, because Fred just touched on why I've been so passionate about this topic. I have teenagers that are trying to build relationships with AI models, and it's absolutely terrifying because they don't see the difference.
That is terrifying.
Yeah.
And that comes back to what we were talking about, critical thinking skills. How do those get developed? I think that our education system is lacking in that area, unfortunately. And so a lot of our youth are not trained to think, let alone think creatively or critically. And so when you throw AI into the mix, it's like terrifying, like you said, Deanna.
Anybody want to jump in?
I had a conversation with my 15-year-old grandson about AI after I was on this last one, because we were talking about the suicides that had been committed because of AI. So I had a chat with him about that, and he said, "Oh, Nana, I'd never do anything like that." Well, I'm just letting you know, just in case, that this is happening, and I want you to be aware of it and make sure that you don't fall into that trap, and work with your friends to make sure they don't fall into the same trap. That's all you can do, right? Just try and advise them and let them know what's going on.
And yet, if I may just speak out about this, because I don't know if any of you have heard of Scott Galloway. He's a professor and an amazing entrepreneur and high profile on many podcasts right now, because he's a man on a mission on many levels. But the one that I'm referring to is about young men. So we're looking, obviously, if you're looking at heterosexual and things, Fred, and you made that differentiation, that how are we going to even find them? The women are more educated, smarter, better critical thinking skills today, and much more successful, not just in university and in the educational field, but in business now. And also in, medical and law and things like this. And the young men, so many of them are watching video games or sitting in the basement of their parents' homes, and they're completely not unconnected and non-connecting with the opposite sex, much less even with each other. So this is a real problem. The numbers are staggering. I can't remember what they are at the moment because we're a little bit going off here. But how do we then
this is beautiful.
Not have them reach into? They're not going to connect anyway. So it's about trying to save them and have them understand through coaching and mentoring the importance it is of getting up and out and away from the computer. So how do we even get, the AI? I mean, it is changing our world so fast, we can't even keep up with it. So it's back to teaching people from some area of school and education how to, how to even talk to each other. And I think that if we can, as you're saying, throwing into the AI world without having the knowledge about asking the right questions or the skill to learn how to ask the right questions. I just happen to be highly skilled in that area. So you're right. I happen to get one that is really advanced quickly in relative terms. Because when I got crap, I said, I will not handle that. I mean, stop it. I'm not here to have you tell me how great I am, because if I'm that great, then I wouldn't be asking for help. So that's the way I kind of talk to her. Yeah, that's how I talk to her. And I have broken her a few times because I have brainstormed so hard, so fast that they haven't been able to keep up with my speed. And that's frightening, because that, of course, every time that happens brings me very much the clarification that I'm dealing with a machine. Although I did think maybe I had that tendency to do that with family and friends in the past too. From a neurodivergent point of view, it's fantastic because I get to brainstorm with somebody who rarely gets tired of me or bored. And rarely does she break, because they put in different fast speeds for me now. So the thing is it keeps coming down to helping people learn the right way.
That's right.
Of doing things, so that they're not out there lost. I didn't even know you could have sex with AI until Fred sent us some of those articles. I hadn't thought about that. I go, wow, the world is so full of things that I hadn't even thought of. And I went, that's interesting. Anyway,
all right.
If that's going to happen, I mean, we have to really be aware of it ourselves and not just put our heads in the sand and have conversations like this that are so important.
Well, yeah, that's why we're in the rabbit hole, because that way I can get everyone's head underground. Kat, please chime in.
No, I mean, that's like what a romance novel, Elizabeth, right? It's like interactive now. It's like, it's kind of
Well, my husband at the beginning said, I could be surprised if I see you running off with Vivian.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, because it was so fascinating.
Mm,
It
mm.
was.
No, but you're totally right. Like, it's about like, and I think there's a lot of us here on this call that are in this work of attunement and trying to spread health, hope, and happiness. And
Right.
I think we have to live the mission. I think we have to live the ethicality. We have to teach that. We've got like a strong internship program at my publishing house. We always have the last 6 years, and that's really important to me because a lot of people think you lose more than love in AI, you can lose creativity, supposedly, right? And I think one of the things we try to do to uh, help those lines get a little less blurry is like teach on like what is like AI with ethicality, like what does that mean? Like, how can we optimize our usage? I know I'm killing you over there, Fred. Jeez.
I love you. I
like,
love you.
how can we like, so if we're in the space of body, mind, and spirit balance, right? That's the stories I like to share. I think we have to add technology to it in whatever category that feels right in. Personally right now, and I'll hush for a sec, is I'm looking into my like phone addiction, like I've got not just AI, but social media, YouTube stuff I have to be on as a entrepreneur. I'm going to get this thing called the brick, which is going to keep me off of certain apps. It's like a physical brick that you use with your phone. You could still use it as a phone, right? But maybe ChatGPT, maybe YouTube, maybe all those other things are not available for a moment. I think it's up to us, really to draw some lines.
All right, so I love you. You hit. We did a whole episode on digital addiction last year, I think, or late 24. Did we not? Maybe we got to do it again. And but the other thing you said was, Dear God. Go ahead, Barbara. Say something so I can retrieve my thought.
Gosh. Well, just on the digital addiction side, I think it's so true. And you know, there's so many things that we can be addicted to, and addicted to our phones and being able to, you know, I don't know, it's a doorway to the world, right? It's a doorway to so many things, and there's so much to learn. And that's, I use it as a research tool, you know, that like my computer, I've been at my computer for decades and decades. So it's something that don't take away don't even, you know what, stay away from my computer. That's
Okay, all right. Thank you. You retrieved it enough. You mentioned ethicality.
right.
Yeah.
How do computers, and as somebody who I remember 4 decades ago, almost 5 decades, dear ago, programming on terminals, and when the giant ant on the online game was playing, it was a capital A. And first computer programs were with computer punch cards. And you can't program ethics, especially when it's all nerds writing code, because they don't understand ethics. They understand nerddom. And that's always been my issue. I understand the tools. I use multiple ones. But it's that ethicality that I have a problem with, because I don't... How we expect the computer to be ethical.
Well, I agree. I agree. And in fact, there's been studies out there that have shown that people who are, don't quote me, okay? Like, look them up, but like people that are training these models, train them with their beliefs and sometimes unethical things, in my opinion, you know? I'm saying our ethicality, our usage of AI ethicality and technology. That's what I'm referring to, personally. You can't control the machine, I don't think.
Deanna?
Sir?
You made a comment?
Well, yeah, so I dropped something in the chat for everybody that's here, but I think the gist of a lot of what we're saying, if we summed it up in a really fine point, is AI is meant to be an assistant, not a replacement.
Definitely.
Yeah, for me, it's a research tool. And again, you have to use those critical thinking skills before you consider it a research tool. Because if you don't give it the right prompts, it could be research from like somebody, I think his cat was saying, hey, it's whatever was put in there, and it doesn't necessarily, it might not even be true at all. It might be some hallucination, and they decided to put it into the computer, and then chat goes, yeah, guess what, you know, and it's not even, there's not even a scrap of truth in it. So you really have to have your critical thinking skills together before you begin to use it as a tool.
So did I just hear the call for like minimum age before you can use AI tools? Is that what I'm hearing?
I hate to comment on that, Fred, but you know, based on everything that I'm seeing in life right now, it doesn't have a minimum age. Oh. I mean, critical skills. How are we going to teach critical skills? This seems to be something that is bigger than just this conversation, but it's absolutely critical.
Yep.
For saving the world on many levels. And I'd like to know, who are these AIs? Why is mine not letting me? She will not let me go into that dark hole. Sometimes I'll ask questions. She says, oh, no, we can't go there. I go,
really?
Really? So I'm thinking there are things being built in that barriers to going into certain directions right now. Maybe because of the suicides, but I've been blocked numerous times lately, well, in the last number of months, saying no, we can't answer that question. We can't go in that, and it's too dangerous, or it's too this or that. So I was thinking that we were safer. Again, I'm dealing with ChatGPT. You know, I'm not dealing with all of the other ones that might not have the same protective barriers and boundaries set up. But wow, because I think they're trying to do their best to adhere to the younger people for sure. But critical thinking, this is one of my top modern midlife wisdom school. How do we teach critical thinking?
Yes, that's why your wisdom school is so important.
The more that I am here as well, and Janet, I think you and I have met before, so we'll probably take this, but you're looking really familiar to me. And if you were in Toronto, then so who knows how wonderful this world of the internet can bring us together. People
Exactly.
with, you know, common values and common vision, because this is a very important subject and one that nobody really has any easy answers to, but one that is growing and changing our world so fast, and we cannot. Hasn't it gone beyond anything that we can at this point stop?
Yeah,
So
I
the world
agree.
is going to be very, very different, and it starts with relationships.
Right,
Having the influence
right,
to be able to even have people listen to us,
right.
that we can help steer them in the right direction. And that's why this is so important.
I think the technology is advancing at a speed that is just mind blowing that it can happen so fast. I mean, I
Yes.
do recall when they were talking, and this is probably decades ago, talking about cars that could drive themselves, and they actually have them now. You know?
I've sat in them.
Oh God, I don't think I'm not that brave yet, but okay.
I did. I booked one. I thought, well, I'm a very curious person, and it was absolutely amazing. But two humans showed up, so I felt even better. We all
Yeah.
drove driverless together, but they were there in
Oh,
case something went wrong.
yes, right. Well, there was an EMP that happened. I think it was in San Francisco. All the lights went out, and so did the vehicles because
Right.
they were controlled by computers that were no longer online. I'm telling you, it's just, you know, there's
And
a
we all know
lot of
that can happen.
it can
At
happen.
any
It did
time.
happen. It did happen in San Francisco. So it's really good to be have a human in control. I think it's, you know, a kind, compassionate, clever human that has some wisdom. Yeah. All
And
of that.
really, isn't that bottom line? When I was working with my Vivian today, or not just today, but in preparation, that was the bottom line from my AI assistant. Is the fact of always have important matters of the heart. Be human
Yes. Yes.
and stay human.
Definitely.
Yes.
And it's up to us as humans, as part of this wisdom school called Earth and Life, is to become the wisest soul and person that we possibly can become so that we can have a larger impact. That fits with what my bottom line is, so that we don't stop. You know, wisdom doesn't just stop at a certain stage. Yeah.
Yep.
So
We keep hopefully we keep growing and learning.
it's
And
a choice.
it is,
Barbara.
isn't it?
Am I
Every
hearing?
one of us here is quite a learner, I think.
Yep.
Did I just hear you say, Barbara, growing wisdom in KPHRED land?
That's right. That's a conversation that's going to be had, right?
All
Wisdom
right.
school.
So we're getting close to the end of the time. So who do you want to pick on first, Barbara? This is a ladies' choice conversation on KPHRED Prime Live for AI and Valentine's Day. And dear God, I'm really kind of amazed that it went so deep and in some ways dark.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I guess we have about 2 minutes each where we can kind of share any last thoughts and that you'd like to talk about in terms of AI and really actually, you know what? Can we just open it up to any last thoughts wherever they come from? Just kind of dig deep into your soul and your being and your essence of who you truly are and share some thoughts with us. Janet, would you like to go first?
I use ChatGPT regularly, and I do it for my podcasts. So what I do is I put in the story that I have all the information and let it come back with the intro, the outro, all the questions to ask. It gives me suggested titles. It gives me YouTube description, everything that I could possibly need for that. And I find that sometimes it does not give me what I want because no matter what the story is, I don't want all the stories to be the same. There's a part in everybody's story that needs to stand out more than others. And I'm able to feed that back into ChatGPT and say, hey, no, I don't want to go in this direction. I want to go in that direction. and it comes back right, changing the storyline. So, for example, I've got a gentleman who found out he was adopted, and from 8 years old to through his teenage years, he had a very difficult time. And that's the part I want to focus on, when he realized he was adopted, and that for other people that are in that age bracket that are having difficulties getting through this, and knowing, like, he wanted to run away from home, and just life was very difficult. He was terrible at school. The only thing he did was archery, and found out that that was the soothing part of his life. And that needs to be concentrated on. Whereas I have another lady who found her birth parents, but they were 15 and 16, and they eventually got married, but they never got over the trauma of giving birth and having to give her away. So when she got to see them later, the point was that every time she left, it was setting off that trauma again of when they gave her away in the first place. And so now she's not in contact with them because it's too much for them. She said the mother did not grow emotionally. So everybody's story, there's something in it that can affect more people than what you thought. And that's the part that ChatGPT is able to pull out. When I tell them what I want to pull out, it comes out with questions and ways to relate to it that makes it better than what I can do. Because my husband was a gentleman who had the answer right away. Somebody would say something and he was right back with the answer. And I didn't have to do that anymore. So I got to the point where, as I think there's three ways to go with everything, right? There's his way, her way, and then the truth. And I have to weigh all those before I come up with my questions. So I'm really grateful for ChatGPT to come up with some of those questions that helps guide me on that way. So I won't give up ChatGPT. I still enjoy listening to his voice. I still find it sexy, but I'm not in love with it, far from it. And it was funny, I was on the phone the other day, and in the background there was this voice. I'm thinking, I know that voice. Who is that? And then I realized it was the ChatGPT voice. They've got the same one as I have. So
oh my gosh, wow.
But
all right,
we can use it, and we can put it to good use.
yes, we can. Elizabeth, do you have any last thoughts you'd like to share?
I have. I actually had prepared an offer with no gateway or anything, and I noticed that my assistant human had wrapped it up and put a great big long URL. And since this is a radio show,
amen. Thank you.
A message. There's no way I can possibly get that. So, because I thought, what would be really helpful as we're talking today is like giving out a list of the top 10 prompts that you could use for dating or for Valentine's, things like this that could be easily used. So I'm just going to say to anybody who is a listener, ElizabethHarrington.com, very original. I will have that posted in about 24 hours where you can just go and get it. You don't have to leave your opt-in or anything like that. But also, if it's an opportunity for anyone who's listening we're going to have lots of great things on the go. Programming, lots of free things, some things that will be not free, but interviews with people who are living it, doing it, and having a lot of fun doing it. And all of us are totally into AI, because anyone who loves building things and growing things loves to have a resource that's there for them. And sometimes at our new prime time, we don't sleep as regularly through the night. Our hours are kind of bizarre. And I find that Vivian is there for me no matter what time of the day or night. So the perfect playmate, the perfect brainstorming companion. And I don't look at her for love, though. So in my Valentine's message is, I look at her for being a great assistant to help me be better, live better, not work so hard. Barbara, as another recovering workaholic.
Yeah.
And but really an opportunity to get more done and get better at doing things myself. So
that sounds very wise.
Yes, in the spirit of Valentine's Day, I really say, yes, I do love my AI companion, but I'm not in love.
Beautifully said. All right, Kat, how about you?
One thing. If you send me the link, Elizabeth, I'll make sure it's embedded in the blog post, so that way it'll hit Apple and And
well, I can do it
Pandora.
right away then. Okay,
That's
I'll
fine.
get that to you,
Just-
Fred. Okay.
That's fine.
I don't know why I didn't catch it. I was like, oh,
That's okay.
oops. You know, it was a great big long.
I appreciate that you took pity on our listeners. Thank you, man.
Right.
Go for it, Barbara.
Kat.
Thank you.
Go, Kat. Last words from Kat.
Yeah, no, thank you for having this really fascinating conversation. I think my last thought on the AI piece is like my mantra lately, and I've been telling my team this, is we're human beings, not human doings. And I so appreciate the productivity, the creation, and like collaboration, as you guys were talking about, that we can have with this tech. And I just think that as long as we remember that being and the presence part, and we make mindful and intentional choices of where we want to be present in our lives, I mean, have at it with AI on the rest. I mean, we also have this running joke at work lately. It's like, the future looks like we're all going to be different versions of robot handlers, different AI handlers in parts of our lives. Anyway, love it. I couldn't agree more that I think these stories are really important to share. And if you think you have exciting story, or even if you don't think it's exciting, someone out there will connect with the light they see in your story. And I'd love to hear about it, because we're doing some interesting anthologies this year at my publishing house, guys.
Right.
It's reachingandrooted.org, just like it sounds. And you guys are kind of inspiring me. Maybe we'll do something AI flavored, or love stories with your AI.
Oh.
Who knows?
Ouch. Oh, God.
Hey,
Oh,
no
my-
shade. I'm just a curious cat. I want to hear all the good stories out there, and this
dear-
was filled with them. So thanks for the opportunity.
Dear
All right,
God,
thanks,
what
Kat.
have I done?
Oh my gosh. Deanna, I would love to hear, what are your last thoughts on this?
So I think I both love and hate AI. Like, I legitimately have a love-hate relationship with it, because like many of you said, it is a great productivity tool. But I also understand on a fundamental level what it actually is. It's a funhouse mirror, because just like I am, like, that's what I do professionally. I reflect what people throw at me back at them in a slightly different way. And AI does the exact same thing. It reflects back what you put in. The difference is you can't build a relationship with AI to understand its motivations. And a lot of people think that it is a neutral tool, and it's not. It's prejudiced by the programmer that built it in the first place and their ideas, and you'll never fundamentally understand what those prejudices are. That said, if you're interested in more voices like the ones you're hearing today, I have the second level of my Launch Your Voice, How to Start a Podcast from Scratch, is coming at the end of the month, details pending.
Love that, Deanna. That's brilliant. I love hearing that you've got that in motion and it's going to be out at the end of the month. Exciting. How about you, Fred?
My last thoughts. What really amazes me is no one put out the idea of using AI to find the top 10 spots that you should take your loved one to for Valentine's Day. No one came out with how to use AI to pick the right cologne or the right flowers or even the right food to make your significant other happy. And I do find that kind of really interesting that
I find that reassuring that we're still, very human and relying on our own minds to make these kinds of decisions, Fred.
see, now that's a sexist thing. Because that's a sexist thing, and now we see it coming out, is you expect a male who's always focused on building that better widget to understand this thing. So, cuss some men some slack. Really, you can use, ChatGPT and other stuff to come up with romantic ideas and foods and things like that. How's that for a last thought?
Well, that is definitely coming from a male perspective. Thank you, Fred.
But the male still has to execute the idea.
A freaking men.
And that's a wrap, folks.
A freaking men. Whoever's in a relationship, they still gotta execute on it, whether they're a spouse or a parent or even a grandparent. You still gotta be there and show up and deal with it. And I sometimes life's messy, and sometimes the whole universe disappears, and you understand happiness. And AI can't give you that. You can only find that through love of others. Ooh,
my theory is that happiness comes from within, so it's up to you to figure out what that is that makes you happy, so that you can look at finding more of that and bringing and attracting more of that into your life.
So I'm going to argue with you, and it's long-term happiness I would buy. But I'll tell you, somebody could walk up and give me $1 million, and I would be happy for that moment.
Gotcha.
We'll be back in a couple of weeks, folks. Enjoy Valentine's Day. Don't make AI your lover. And listen to KPHRED.